This is a perfect segue to the other thing I wanted to talk to you about. You mentioned how doctors, physicians, health practitioners, really, they have a responsibility here to use their respect and their prestige to help move the needle on these issues. And I wonder, what are you saying from the front lines in this regard?
Well, I spend a lot of time working on these different issues. With respect to addiction, I do my best to destigmatize it. I'm make no secret about the fact that I was addicted to opiates, and especially among healthcare workers, it's so stigmatized. And because of that, a lot of people suffer in silence, and it's just awful. And we have such a punitive reaction to it. The doctors and nurses get punished instead of treated the minute they ask for help, which is the exact wrong way to go about it. Like, if you're going to get punished, if you ask for help, you don't ask for help. A 2-year-old can figure that out. So I'm trying to just destigmatize it and try to change it so that hopefully the medical boards and the nursing societies and the medical societies can sort of enter at least the 18th century, if not the 21st century, and treat people with compassion, not punishment. So that, because what's dangerous is when people don't get help. If someone gets help and they're monitored and treated, they're not dangerous. Your eyes are on them. You're treating them. They feel like they can tell you if they're having trouble. But what's really dangerous is if someone doesn't feel they can get help and they secretly swallowing pills or drinking before work. So I work really hard to destigmatize mental health issues and addiction in general and among healthcare providers. I mean, in general, anybody can get addicted. If your friendly doctor can get addicted, believe me, anybody can. And then for the drugs, starting with cannabis, they just have to be legal. And legal doesn't mean it's a free-for-all. I mean, they need to be regulated. For one, and this gets some people in the cannabis industry mad at me, but I don't think cannabis should be advertised. But I don't think alcohol should be advertised. I don't think tobacco should be advertised. And I certainly don't think that big pharma should be allowed to advertise their medications. I'm in the office all the time, and patients see these things on TV and they're like, oh, I hear that this drug does this. And I'm like, but A, your health insurance won't pay for it because it's 50,000 times more expensive than drug B that does the same thing. And B, they forgot to tell you that it does X, Y, and Z, which is really horrible. I mean, it's so misleading, the advertising. So I think we need to legalize these things, educate people, like real education, not drug war propaganda, and regulate them, tax them, use the taxes to take care of any harms that come up. And you don't have to advertise things that people, you don't have to punish people for using them, but you don't have to advertise them to increase the use. And, make sure that you're doing everything you can to keep teenagers from getting access to them and so forth. Though with legalizing cannabis so far, the use has gone down, not up, or it stayed about the same, actually. And in some cases, maybe gone down a little bit. But, there are really sane and sensible things you could do. So I work a lot on that. Just yesterday, I helped some of the activists in Alabama, a very conservative state. They're just trying to get the most rudimentary medical cannabis law passed. And it's so sad. A lot of these people don't have access even to the most basic medical cannabis provisions. And, why have people suffer? I mean, the only people that are against it, 94% of Americans are in favor of medical cannabis. It's just these commercial interests. It's the private prison industry, which you don't have in other countries. It's insane. We have private prisons. They make money off incarcerating people. It's the alcohol industry. It's big pharma. And mostly it's the rehab industry and law enforcement. They funnel so much money into the anti-cannabis legislation. It has nothing to do with health and safety. It never did. So anyways, I do spend a lot of time on the social issue of trying to get these things legalized, because that's really the way to minimize the harm.
The vested interests of prohibition engaging in legalized bribery.